everyone gets scared of pain because it's something that's harmful. It's not nice. But if we don't have that pain signal there, the brain's not going to know how to heal a certain area.
Why do you think so many people go to medical or surgical treatment first instead of physiotherapy?
Physio is harder work. It takes a lot of time, effort. Some people don't have time for that at the moment. They want to see quicker results.
I read an interesting case study where it stated that foot positioning has a huge role in rehabilitation.
If you go onto your tiptoes, your calf's going to switch on. If you go onto your heel, most likely the thigh muscle, the quadricep muscle, the hip flexors are going to engage more. If we can try to position that foot more middle, so you've got equal pressure, you're going to have your calf, your hamstrings, your glutes, your quads working together.
The biggest fear is stepping out of that 9-to-5 life to basically nothing, as in no income. You kind of seem like you're on your own.
You're not on your own. I think everyone I spoke to so far who's opened the business, I guess in the first few years, it's always a roller coaster ride. When you're looking at growing your business, it's never going to be a smooth, straight incline. Avoided making a step. Like I said, I've been in the industry for 14 years. After year 4, I wanted to open my own business, but I've avoided doing it until 2 years ago because I never had the confidence to do it.
As a father of 2 kids and also an entrepreneur, how important is it to manage your time?
So my dad always told me that when you have kids, make sure you have the time for them. So now I have my diary set up in a way that I can drop my kids to school.
How hard is it right now to run a one-man team? Do you not have a lot of pressure on your shoulders?
Very hard, yeah. Like I said, it's stressful.
Hello everyone, welcome back to episode 18 of the FMU Founders Mindset Unfiltered podcast. I am joined here today with a guest who can pinpoint and amend any pains you may be experiencing. He's not only a physiotherapist, but a chartered physiotherapist with roughly 14 years of experience in the industry. Using his skills and experience in musculoskeletal, respiratory and neurological conditions, he decided to open his own private clinic called Bodyform Physiotherapy, where he is able to treat the whole person and not just the pain, using his magical techniques. I'm going to let him explain it in a lot more detail, but without further ado, I would like to welcome Ammit Mistry onto the podcast. Amit, it's lovely to have you join us today.
Hi, Albert. Nice to meet you. Anyway, and thank you for having me. So yeah, I've been a physiotherapist for the last 14 years. After I finished uni, I did go and do hospital-based training, where I worked in different rotations such as musculoskeletal, which is muscle and joints. And then I worked into the neuro side of things, and then into respiratory, which is all about the lungs. But after a couple of years, my main specialist has been the musculoskeletal side of things, so treating muscle and joint disorders, learning about the different conditions and how the body sort of manifests as pain can manifest in the body. Over time experiences, I've worked in different private clinics, and then also moved into a GP surgery role as a first contact practitioner, where I was the first contact role in the sense of patients come to see you first instead of the GP, and would assess for anything from musculoskeletal disorders to anything sinister that might present as like a musculoskeletal disorder, but might be more of a sinister thing like a spinal cord injury, might be cancer, might be an infection, could be just a diabetes or a heart problem. So we're trying to rule these things out. And then just in the last couple of years, I moved out into my own practice now. I'm trying to work on more than trying to treat patients' injuries, take them through a journey to help them recover, make sure they're building on their activity levels, reducing the pain, working on a lot of education as well, and seeing people throughout like a plan of care to make sure that they are seeing their overall outcomes, getting the results that they need.
Well, Amit, isn't a physiotherapist just a fancy masseuse?
No, not really. No. I wish it was. I wish it could be a fancy masseuse in a sense of just massaging people and they're getting better that way. The thing with hands-on therapy is it is a big part of our role, but a lot of physios don't use it anymore. I guess the research doesn't always support hands-on therapy. It's more the exercise and trying to use your body to help your nervous system to learn, repair better. Because I guess that way, when you're actually doing it, your body's going to actually heal better. With hands-on, what we do in physio is we use it more as a facilitation. So, for example, if you've got a muscle tightness or injury, we try to help that muscle to move better, encourage blood flow, to irritate the muscle or the joint to stimulate a healing process. Because if you don't stimulate that healing process, it's not going to get better. So we can massage your muscles every week for the next year, but you won't see any changes unless you actually exercise the muscle. So it's trying to understand how we use sort of the manual therapy or the hands-on treatment alongside rehab. But if you go and see somebody just for a massage, it's okay and it's good, and that will work its own benefit, but it's not going to treat your actual problem.
But what exactly is physiotherapy? Because there's so many different sectors to it. As we mentioned before, there was musculoskeletal, there's respiratory, neurological. How can you define physiotherapy?
How can I define it? I guess the physiotherapy is more about sort of improving somebody's function in a sense. So physiotherapy is more about the not again we the physio side of things was more physical therapy. So it's all about the physical side of things, trying to get people moving, mobilizing. But like you say, it does branch out for different sectors. So the neurological side of things, the brain controls a lot of things. The cerebellum controls how your muscles and body moves. So now in physio, we're trying to understand the body as a whole, in the sense of if somebody's got a muscle injury, is it just because of the muscle that our muscle's been strained or an injury's happened, or is it something that's built up over time? Something built up over time is probably going to be a neurological thing that's happened, that your brain's protecting a certain area and it's not letting that area, that problem settle down. Normally, if you had an injury within 6 to 8 weeks, you'd find it with normal healing time, it'll settle down. But why is it taking longer than that? So if you've had pain for more than sort of 3 months, it's gone into a chronic phase. It's trying to understand why is it there. So it could be something, like I said, within the nervous system that could be preventing your recovery. So we do tend to look into that. So for musculoskeletal side of things, what I'm in, we do tend to incorporate a bit of a neurological side of treatments into it. The respiratory side of things, that's a totally separate, different area. That's to do with more the lungs and the heart. I guess the heart does supply everything. So if the heart isn't doing its job, it can cause some musculoskeletal problems as well as some lung problems. So we do ask that in our questions before we start treating somebody for a muscle problem. Because if you're getting a calf pain, it could be a blood clot in the leg, which then could be causing shortness of breath. So that needs a different type of treatment to what we need. But as physios, we need to understand sort of what the complication could be of if it was a DVT compared to just being a calf problem. So if you understand the differentiation between what each present with, then you know how to deal with it and treat it properly.
If someone wants to come to you with a neurological condition, what what does the process look like?
So I won't really treat somebody that with after a stroke or it's about MS, things like that. I won't really treat that unless it's something that they they're not getting help, I guess, from other physios in a sense. I would try to help where I can, but it's not my specialist area. Neurophysio would be more about, there'd be more long-term support that they need. So you'd go and see somebody, have a thorough assessment done. But for nerves to heal, like just say somebody's got MS, they might not fully recover, or even after a stroke, they might not fully recover. But if we can try to encourage movements around the hands, the shoulder, the legs, to try to help build new connections with the nervous system, it might help to bring back some of that function. But for that to happen, it takes a long time, you see. So if somebody's got a neurological problem, it's not where I would specialize in. But if somebody comes in with like a sciatic pain, where it's the nerve that's being irritated, we can try to offload pressure off that nerve. If it's a disc or if it's a joint, if it's a muscle tissue, we can try to use different techniques and distraction methods to try to offload that nerve, which might help with reducing numbness, tingling, pain, if they get in the leg or the arm.
Right. Shouldn't everyone consider physiotherapy as a first option then, instead of medical and social treatment?
I would say everyone needs to see a physio. Yeah. Like it's like a dentist. You'd go and see a dentist regularly for a hygiene check, just to get the to just make sure there's nothing else going on to prevent problems. A lot of people use physio at the moment when they have a problem, just because it's something, oh, I've got pain, so I want that treating. But if you use physio in the sense of keeping you active, so in other countries, even some places here in the UK, if you're runners or you're doing a particular sport, you might use physios to keep the muscles loose, make sure you're working on your stability, your strength, your power, to make sure you can maintain your level of performance. But again, like I say, a lot of people don't use us then. They wait for an injury to happen, and then it's a lot harder to treat. Where if we work on prevention, that's where physio should be really in preventative stage, not when the problems actually come on.
So why do you think so many people go to medical or surgical treatment first instead of physiotherapy? What's the downsides?
Um, I think a lot of people tend to resort to that side of things, pain relief maybe, or I guess going away from physio compared to hands-on stuff because it's less painful. You take pain medication, it reduces that pain. But the thing is that it depends on what that pain medication is doing. Okay, so if you've got a knee that's acutely flared up, yes, taking ibuprofen or an anti-inflammatory is okay for the first couple of weeks to help reduce that inflammation. But you don't want to always take away inflammation from a joint because inflammation is there for a reason. It's there to promote healing. It's got inflammatory properties in there to help the healing start. So if we put ice on it or take pain relief to reduce that, then the body's not going to do its own thing. So now we encourage people to keep moving, gently keep loading the joint, the muscle to help it heal better. But if it doesn't settle down, then using a little bit of ibuprofen or paracetamol or whichever medication you take, which you've been prescribed, using it for a short course is good to reduce that pain or that discomfort. But then you need to be using the therapy or exercises to help the muscle, the area to heal properly. Within that first 3 months, you need that process to be started and completed so you recover better. You wait longer than that, like I say, it goes to a chronic problem, which is a lot harder to treat. So a lot of people tend to go for less invasive stuff gives them maybe a quicker outcome or like an injection maybe compared to physio. Physio is harder work. It takes a lot of time, effort. Um, some people don't have time for that at the moment. They want to see quicker results. They want to see the benefits very quickly. But if you educate, I think that's where a lot of people miss out on the education side of things. They don't understand the problem or they're not being explained what their problem is for them to deal with it properly.
I mean, you talk about treating the whole person and not just the pain. How do you manage to do that in the 30-minute consultations that you offer?
So we're not expecting to get you 100% in 30 minutes in a sense. Okay. So when we do our consultation, it's more about understanding what the problem is first. So we'd go through a detailed history about your pain or your symptoms. When did it start? Did it start a few years ago? Maybe longer than that, but we're trying to really take a deep dive into when the problem actually started because a lot of people don't have injuries that bring pain on. So back pain can just start off randomly, it can come on. But we need to understand what the trigger is of that. Is it an emotional trigger? Is it an environmental factor? Is it something that's happened physical, like a trauma, injury? Is it the people that you're around? Is it stress situations? Does it work? Sometimes pain can manifest because of mental health problems or psychological problems as well. So we try to understand that, but we also try to understand if there's any previous history of injury. I've had a lot of patients come in that might have had an ankle injury 20 years ago, and since then they've had a back problem. So we're trying to understand if that ankle hasn't healed properly, could your body be shifting itself a little bit to compensate, which then can put more pressure on your back. So when we're looking at the whole person, we're not just looking at where the site of pain is, because your site of pain might be where the symptoms are, but is there something else that's putting pressure on that area for the symptoms to be there?
So any injury, say if I injured my ankle today and 20 years down the line, I'm experiencing some back pain. Are you saying it could be because of that injury 20 years ago?
Yeah, but it's looking at also what's happened with the ankle. Have you had physio on it? Have you treated it properly? Were you back to running and things? But if you've had like a problem like that, maybe it could be within months of a back pain starting up. So your ankle pain might actually go away and it might heal. Okay. It might desensitize, but you might not use the ankle properly because you might be a bit anxious, a bit scared, fear avoidance might come in. So you then start to shift. So you might put weight on the other leg, which then might cause a shift higher up. You could start within it. You might not with just back pain. It could be knee pain, hip pain, it could be even shoulder pain. We've had a lot of patients come in that have complex history of pain, then the pain moves around. So it's trying to understand where it's actually coming from. So if we look at the whole body, so what we'll do is in our consultations, once we've done our questioning, understanding medical history, we do the movement. So we look at walking pattern to see how they're actually moving, how their ankles move, knees, hips, shoulders, how everything's moving just with walking. Check individual joints out, look at the muscle power and strength and see if there's any weaknesses, instability there. From that, and what we find, then we put a plan together to say, actually, these are where the problems are, and this is what we need to address to resolve this problem. And then we give them a timeline of recovery exactly how long it takes. But everyone's different in how they recover, how they heal. Age makes a difference as well. If there's any underlying conditions that they have, that can make a big impact.
Now, I'm sure over. Am I correct in saying you've been in the industry for around 14 years now?
Yeah, so I qualified in 2011.
And I'm sure that over those 14 years, you've had tough times, you've had great times, and I'm sure you've changed the lives of a few people as well. Tell me about your best reform story.
My best reform story, yeah. So in a sense of a patient case study,
Yes.
yeah. So I've had a patient in who's had, I guess it came to me because of bilateral both-sided shoulder pain. Um, this was a few years ago. So both-sided shoulder pain, diagnosed with frozen shoulder, so he couldn't really move it. But from actually looking at his sort of history, he'd had, was it 10 years previously? He'd had a bike accident where the actual handlebars went through his ankle. With quite a severe injury, so his ankle. But again, that wasn't treated properly. Ankle was restricted, a little bit of swelling there. Couldn't weight bear on it properly, but that sort of resolved over time. Didn't forgot about it. Then back pain started off, a little bit of back pain, and he'd tried to do a couple of hikes where his knees like flared up to the point where he couldn't actually walk. So from looking at his history, we found all these different bits out regards to like the timeline, and this all happened within sort of 10 years or so. But it then all came up in his shoulders. So it's, I guess, for a lot of people treating the shoulders, trying to use pain relief, trying to use injections, nothing really helping at all. So from actually going down the chain and working on his spine, his ankle, not even his knees, didn't do anything on his knees, but ankle and spine, that helped to really resolve a lot of the shoulder pain that he was getting. So within sort of, was it 6 months or so of treatments, with doing rehab as well as the hands-on techniques, mobilizing the ankle, mobilizing the joints of the spine, trying to encourage movement there. So the rotation through the spine, the flexion extension, it helps to adapt how the pelvis moves and the rotation of the ankles. And that seemed to bring his pain pretty much down to zero from where he was before. So within 6 months of just changing a little bit around, it made a massive impact on his lifestyle. He's now back to walking and hiking a lot more, and playing badminton, racket sports that he really likes to do. So without that pain flaring up,
How does it feel for you knowing that you have what it takes to make that impact on someone's life, to make that change for the better?
it's rewarding. Really, it's very rewarding. I was in positions previously where, when I was doing my FCP role, we weren't doing many treatments then for physio for patients. We'd basically give them exercises because of the time limits that we had. So when people come back to you saying they know better, it makes you feel down, makes you feel a bit depressed, upset that you can't actually help the person. But now being in a position where I can actually treat people, see people through a journey, it's so rewarding. It's the feedback that you get from patients, to be able to see them actually do what they can do, the outcomes that they can achieve. That's the reward in our job that we have. If you don't, if you try not to, if you're in a position where you're not helping people, or you try not to achieve their outcomes in a way, you don't see that reward, you don't see that benefit, I guess. So for us, it's looking at patients and seeing that smile on their face, actually they've achieved something. And I don't see myself as I'm the one that's helped them in a sense. I'm part of their journey, I'm part of their story. I'm only guiding them through to the next step. So I'm just coming as part of a small section of their story to help them to go and do what they need to go and do.
I mean, have you ever had any patients complain that the treatment hasn't been working, on the other hand?
You get that all the time, yeah. So a lot. Originally, when I first started physio, I used to hate it when patients come back no better. And it was always like the treatment's not working. So I would blame myself in a way. That, oh, I'm not doing the right things. Doesn't matter how hard you massage or how much joint mobilization you do, the patient didn't come back better. But again, when I was at the early stages of my career, I didn't have all the knowledge then, so I didn't have all the understanding. As soon as time's gone on, I've learnt under different mentors. I've understood the body a bit better. So now that doesn't scare me now. So I've had a lot of patients that do come in now, and I can now prepare them for the journey that's going to come. So I would say it's going to be a roller coaster ride for them. If you've had pain for 10 years, I'm not able to get rid of it in one session. Okay, it's trying to unclaw a lot of the old problems that were been there. So it's always going to be a bit up and down. So the amount of good days, the amount of sometimes bad days. Whereas understanding that the body's going through a healing process, and it's very normal. for you to feel pain. We need pain there to stimulate healing. Everyone gets scared of pain because it's something that's harmful. It's not nice. But if we don't have that pain signal there, the brain's not going to know to heal a certain area. So if you get a cut on your skin, if that doesn't feel painful or stingy, the brain's not going to know that that needs healing. So that cut will stay open, it won't heal properly. Same with things that happen within the muscle in the joints. If you're not feeling a bit of pain or a bit of discomfort, your body's not going to know that it needs to heal, repair. It needs to go through a process.
During those times when the patients would come back to you and say this treatment's not working and they just have a few complaints, what was it that kept you going?
It's just making sure that you're trying to help the person as best as you can. So it's trying to understand, okay, what's happened in that week or 2 weeks. That's not really made a difference. When you actually go down to basics, a lot of patients don't do the exercises. Sometimes they don't find the time to do them. So again, there's other things take over. Life takes over sometimes if you've got children, work. It depends on the factors there that's maybe contributing to the pain. We talk a lot about pacing with the day-to-day activities, so not doing too much in one go, trying to work on a bit of relaxation, trying to work on productivity at work if they can do, if work is a stress factor. So it's trying to understand what the underlying factor is that might be limiting their recovery, so we can address the problem. So we can say if it's something to do with, like I say, too much workload, then we might say, look, just relax, try to pace yourself, try to spread your workload out over the week, and try to see if that helps to manage your pain better. Most times it works, helps the pain to calm down, which then allows them to do the exercises, and then in turn, they find that it helps with the recovery. But it's trying to understand that. So if we've had a one bad week, it then now help the patients to understand now that, okay, why is that week bad? What's happened in that week? If I just go on straight carrying my treatments and don't ask them these questions, I don't know. I do go back to do my treatments thinking that I'm the problem. And it's not going to work that way. So I need to understand what's actually happening for me to help the patient.
Amit, just linking back to the term when we were speaking about ankles and the weight distribution in the feet, it reminded me, I read an interesting case study where it stated that foot positioning has a huge role in rehabilitation. Can you share like a specific case where adjusting foot positioning made a noticeable difference in the patient's recovery?
We use it all the time in our clinic. So when we look at somebody's movement, just to the spine, how they bend forwards, how they bend backwards, we're looking at sort of their positioning from the hips all the way down to the feet. So when a lot of people bend forward, they tend to hinge at the hips, so they'll tend to bend forwards. Then their bum will be quite far back, so behind the heels. But that's the line of gravity. So the line of gravity that we have in our body makes us feel more comfortable to put weight on our heels. Okay, so when we're bending backwards, we're not actually bending the spine, we're actually bending through the hips. And we'll feel more of a tightness in our hamstrings that might limit that movement. So like, oh, my hamstrings are tight, not back. So that always happens. So what we try to do is encourage patients to put weight through their midfoot or the forefoot in a sense, so the toes, the middle, and the heel equally. Try to encourage that bum to come forward, which then allows that spine to offload, allows it to bend better. Same with going backwards as well. If we can keep them hips forward, actually allow that back to move through the whole spine, not just through the lower back or through the hips. You're going to see that improvement in quality. So foot position, just by changing it, allows different muscles to actually engage. If you go onto your tiptoes, your calf's going to switch on. If you go onto your heel, most likely the thigh muscle, the quadricep muscle, the hip flexors are going to engage more. If we can try to position that foot more middle, so you've got equal pressure, you're going to have your calf, your hamstrings, your glutes, your quads working together. But again, it's not always just about foot position. Depending on what the person's trying to achieve. So if we're trying to improve somebody's spinal mobility, we'd look at more foot position things to help the muscles in your legs to work together to offload the back. Whereas if your quad's doing all the work and that's pulling down on your pelvis, it's going to put more stress on your back. You see, so we're trying to understand actually with the mechanics. But if somebody has, just say, had a calf strain, the calves are overworking, they're running on their tiptoes, we might change their foot position to do a bit more on the midfoot or the heel to try to allow the calves to lengthen, try to get the shin muscles to work a bit harder. But it's looking at the mechanics and seeing what's actually causing this problem to come on. So it's not just all about trying to just correct the foot position. There's not one foot position which is good. When you're walking, you do need a heel strike. You need the rotation of the foot to happen to then push off your big toe. Okay, but again, when we put insoles in, that changes the whole foot position. So we don't really use our big toe. We tend to keep that foot upright, thinking that we need the arch to be in a good position because I'm going to get flat feet. So it's trying to allow the ankle to move properly, to allow all the tendons, all the muscles, the ligaments to work together. And that way, you want to work on more prevention of injury.
See, that reminds me of another thing. When I was younger, I actually used to have what a lot of people called duck feet. So it's meant the feet are meant to be like this, but I unfortunately walked at an angle. So it's funny. It's interesting to hear that even the smallest things can make such a huge impact. As in, because my feet were positioned this way, it could possibly have strain on my back. It could lead to bigger problems.
But that doesn't mean that that wasn't normal for you, though. So everyone's pelvis and hips are very different. So the shape of the pelvis and the hips angle differently. So if you had, like they say, duck feet or your feet pointed outwards, that might be quite normal for you. So what we'd spend a lot of time doing is trying. A lot of people spend time correcting that because they think that's a problem. But again, it could be quite normal for you. You see, so it's trying to understand that if you've had that from birth, what's the point in changing it if your hip, if your pelvis and your actual sockets are positioned that way, that's going to cause you to rotate that way.
I mean, you should have been there 11 years ago when everyone was telling me, when everyone was making fun of it.
Yeah, yeah, that's it. You never know. But you see a lot of judo players, like judo fighters, they have the same foot position, but that's where they're told to stand. We do a lot of Tai Chi in our sort of clinic as well, like running classes. But in the Tai Chi, they say to you position your feet inwards, point them together, point your toes together a little bit. So foot position is again, you need a variety of different movements. Okay, your body's not made to move in one position. It's not meant to there be like holding a straight, correct posture all the time. It's made to move, and that's what we need to educate people on. Is try to move more. People who sit at a desk, it's now is changing how we encourage them to keep moving, drink more water, to go to the toilet more, and stand up at your desk. Rise the recliner desks now you have to encourage more movement because that's going to again work on prevention. I guess a lot of companies now or people who sit at desks don't want people to be off for 6 weeks with back pain, want them in work. So if we can help them and support them to keep healthy and prevent problems, it's going to help with increasing productivity, reducing pain, reducing stress. It has a knock-on effect.
That's amazing. I mean, tell me about your first month of opening Bodyform. What was it like?
So first month, I started in November 2023, and I was just renting a room out from there. So I've, I've, it was a tough step to make because I came out from full-time employment. I was subcontracting for somebody else, and I was only doing like maybe 8 to 10 hours a week for myself. Before that, though, I was doing home visits and stuff like taking a couch with me to people's homes, doing a lot of traveling. So I've tried to stop and limit that just to work from one location. I had a coach there to help me, so I've got a business coach who's been helping me with that side of things. I'm not the expert on the business side of things, so having some help and support there was valuable. I think within a few months, if I didn't have him there, I think I would have left and I would have gone back into full time employment. I stuck it out a bit longer, been using some Facebook ads, which has been bringing clients in through the door, and just finding a way that I can work to help support patients through their journey. The first month was hard, like I said, I was trying to increase. There was a lot of up and downs, and am I doing the right thing? Have I made the right step? Because there's expenses going out, as well as you trying to bring income in. It's only the first month, so I didn't have much trust in the community neither. Who's going to believe it? Who's going to trust a physio who's been only running the business for a month? But it's having them conversations with patients. Okay, so the first month was very, very hard, in a sense of just setting up, but it was exciting at the same time because it was thinking about your future. Why are you doing this? Why am I setting up my own business? Yes, it's to help people, but I wanted to do something for myself as well, to make sure that I can achieve something that um I felt like I couldn't do. I've avoided making a step. Like I said, I've been in the industry for 14 years. After year 4, I wanted to open my own business, but I've avoided doing it until 2 years ago because I never had the confidence to do it. So now it's sort of make that step and let's do it. I've got 2 young children, so I wanted to do something for them and show them that we'll put the hard work in and it pays off.
100%. For a lot of aspiring entrepreneurs nowadays, they are their biggest fear is stepping out of that 9 to 5 life to basically nothing. as in no income. You kind of seem like you're on your own. What's one piece of advice you'd give to them to make that step?
You're not on your own. I think like, everyone I spoke to so far who's opened the business, I guess in the first few years, it's always a roller coaster ride. Everyone feels the same thing. When you're looking at growing your business, it's never going to be a smooth, straight incline. It's always going to be an incline and then a bit of a, oh, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? You're going to have them questions that come up and then it's going to be, oh, things have changed again. So the best advice I can give anybody is just you can't sit and wait for things to happen. For us, I'm religious, I'm Hindu, so I can't sit there and just pray to God and say, give me a business, make sure I've got income coming in, make sure I've got patients coming in. I need to put the hard work in. I need to market myself. I need to push myself out there. I'm doing social media, doing newsletters, trying to reach out to people in the community. Um, just working hard and keep consistent with what you're doing. In business, I guess nothing ever changes with the foundation, the basics that we're trying to do. Is just doing the basics right and keep doing that. And it's boring as hell. Boring. Okay, but you got to keep going with it. It's the same with other big companies like McDonald's. You look at Nike, whoever else it is, they all still do marketing. They release new offers. They keep pushing it out there to help entice you to buy from them. They'll do upsells. So if you're buying a burger, they'll say, "Do you want fries and a drink with it? And do you want some sauce with it?" So it's always trying to see about upselling you. So everybody does it, and everyone's in the same position if you're a small business or a big business. But you just got to keep consistent with the foundations and just keep plowing on. That's the other thing you need to do, and you're gonna have them ups and downs in everything that you do. Even for me, being 2 years down the line, I still have my lows. The last month was a low for me. But I'm still looking forward to. I've got my three. I'm putting plans in place now. So I put my quarterly plans together. I put a 5-year plan together initially at the beginning, but then broken that down into smaller sections and say, okay, month by month, I want to be able to achieve this. Have a quarterly goal as well. So if I don't achieve it one month, I've still got the rest of the other quarter to go to be able to achieve what I want to achieve, and making sure you have ticking things off your list as you go through to make sure you can achieve the goals that you're trying to do. But you need to really think about what goals you're trying to achieve and understand what your particular business is or what you're trying to achieve with it.
And just again, during that first month, did you make enough to pay the bills, or did you have to reach into your own pockets?
I had to invest some of my own money into it as well at the beginning. I guess with renting a room out, it was only per hour, so whatever I needed to, however many patients I had in the diary, that's the amount of hours that I booked out for. But with my business coach, again, he charges money, so I had to pay him as well. But over time, like within sort of 3 months or so, I started to sort of break even. Um, I was using the money that I was sort of earning through the business to pay for the bills and things like that. So I wasn't paying myself. And my pay came from my subcontractor role that I was doing. So the other hours that I was putting in, 18, 20 hours, whatever else it was, that was paying me for my household bills, things like that. But anything through the business, I didn't start paying myself until maybe 6 to 8 months down the line.
Wow. So it is a process. It's a journey. It takes a while.
It is a journey, yeah. It was hard. Even now, it's a slog. I don't even pay myself enough now. But I'm full time in Bodyform. I don't work for anybody else anymore. So it's made a transition, but I don't pay myself enough. I'm just about scraping the barrel, but it's hard work. But I'm looking at, again, it's only 2 years. Like I say, I've got a 5-year plan. So in 5 years, I want to achieve the goals that I've set down in my plan. And it's going that way. It's going that way. It takes time.
It does. It does. You mentioned before that you used Facebook ads to get in a few patients. What method of marketing has worked the best for you? We have social media, we've got word of mouth, even GP referrals in your case. Which method works the best?
So so with a lot of physios, they link up with a lot of medical legal companies or insurance companies. So I avoided that because it's very hard in the sense of invoicing. You do get a lot of workload through, but a lot of report writing. So the quality of the actual care that you provide goes out the window. So I have registered with a couple of people like Bupa, AXA, things like that. and I get a few referrals to them, but it's more private paying clients. I people come to see me who want to pay for the treatment sessions in a sense. Um, Again, majority of my referrals, what I found worked best for me is the Facebook ads at the moment, because it's tailored to people who are looking for physios in a sense. It's marketed that way. There's an algorithm there that needs to build up for them to for it to understand what type of people you're actually targeting. But I'm not just relied on only Facebook ads. This is only just to get me started. In the long term, I don't want to be spending anything on ads. I want to build up a word of mouth. I want people to be talking about me, referring me person to person, basically. That's the way I find that that's going to be more organic. It's going to be more valuable. People are going to trust coming to see somebody like me if they've been recommended. But Facebook ads at the moment has worked the best in a sense of bringing the quantity of patients through. But it's making sure that I can work through that list and who's right fit for me as well, because a lot of people don't want to pay for treatment sessions. So it's understanding what they want out from coming to see me. Really, they can't afford it, no problem. But I can always give them advice on where to go. I've used Google in the past, but again, Google, I've had to dip into different areas. So alongside the Facebook ads, I've had to do a lot of social media. So posting on my business pages, so stories, reels, news feeds, trying to show people what we do in clinic, patient outcomes, what we're running, any offers that we're doing, things like that. And I'm trying to post 3-4 times a week maybe. And that's hard work, although I'm not very good at it, but it takes time. Even getting yourself in front of a camera, trying to show people exercises, trying to, just demonstrate like a case study that we're trying to do in clinic. But videoing people, some people don't want to be videoed, so it makes it harder as well to collect all that content. So I've done a bit of that. I've then tried to increase the reviews that we're getting on Google. So that will do its own thing as well. I'll try not to spend on ads, but if I can get more reviews of getting people interacting with Bodyform in a sense, it's going to help me. It's going to bring me up the Google pages and bring me up the ranks as well. So I'm trying to use natural ways to do it. So by using socials, that's going to push my Facebook ads out as well to a lot more people organically, without me relying on having to pay too much more. So it's going to get in front of more people who might then be like, okay, yes, I want to try this now. But a lot of people don't. With the Facebook ads, they don't always take the first step as soon as they see the ad. It's after a few times they might see it, but I've seen this guy now a few times. He's building that trust up. He's trying to relate to people in a familiar way. He's trying to become more personable as well. Why should I trust him?
Well, it's funny you say that because my next question was, in a world where the NHS is seen as the go-to, how do you get the patients to trust you when they onboard?
So again, I don't really force them into like trusting me. It's just making sure that I show them what their main problems are. So once I've gone through all my questions, is helping them to understand what the actual symptoms are and what needs to be done for them to see their outcome. So what I would do in clinic, what they need to do at home. So in clinic, I would do manual therapy, acupuncture, cupping, that sort of thing. But I'm helping them understand that this is going to be part of your recovery. When you go home, we need to be doing X, Y, and Z to help you to see your overall outcomes. So if your outcome is to go back to running or a racket sport, can your body tolerate that level of load? If it can't, then how do we get you there and what steps do we need to use? So by just showing them that plan and going through sort of their what their goals are and what their current reality looks like, so what's the pain causing them, they make them feel frustrated, they make them feel upset, but then hopefully they want to be on the other side where they feel happy, and they're sleeping better, they're running, they're doing racket sports, they're picking their grandkids up, wherever it could be, just understanding that. So once we show them the plan, that's where the trust comes into it. So do I trust this person? Is he telling me is he explaining things well to me? Is he bullshitting me in a sense? Like that. So that people get a gauge by when they come in and when they meet me what I'm like as a person. And it's up to them at the end of the day if they want to go ahead with the treatments.
I think that's the best way to do it as well. I genuinely, I think that's the best way to do it because that means you're transparent. You're just saying what you can do for them, and it's completely up to them.
Yeah.
Say you on or
It's
not.
just like when you go and take your car in it to the mechanics. They'll tell you what the problems are, brakes need fixing, you need a service doing, or you need this and this and this. And you're not going to go, okay, I'll go and see somebody else. You probably leave it with them and let them fix it in a sense. So it's the same with us. We're just trying to show them where the problem's coming from, what the cause of it is, and what the plan is. Keep it simple.
We love it. Amit, thinking strictly about business, isn't it a worry when a patient no longer needs your services?
It's not really no. So the way that we look at it is, if I help you out with your pain, and you've been in this pain for however many years or whatever it might be, if you feel good and you feel great, you're gonna shout about me. You're gonna go away like, Amit's good. He's helped me with this, and I've had it for such a long time, whereas somebody else has not been able to do it. Maybe. So you're gonna go out and tell other people, like, actually go and see him, and that's where I'm gonna grow, because organically as well. Whereas if I don't help you, and I've promised that I'm gonna help you, and you go away feeling a bit frustrated, a bit down, you're not gonna shout about me. You're not gonna come back and see me anymore anyway. So I'm gonna lose your business in turn. So I want to help people, but then for my business to flourish and grow, because it's not about me being like, I don't want it to be like a massive business in a sense. I want to be in a position where I can help people, but have other people working with me the way that I like to work, and hopefully it suits them as physios to be able to use their own clinical reasoning to treat people to get them better. But one thing for the people with the same vision is, like in our culture in Hinduism, we always look at the karma. Like, if you do good, good will come back to you. And every story that I've heard in our culture, it's not about believing in God, it's about doing good for others. And it's the same thing, the same principle I try to hold in physio. Just do good for others, and that will keep circling back in a sense. And it's not about being greedy or being selfish in any way. It's all about helping people, and that's where I want to be. I want to try to help people, as many people as I can in the capacity I can. And that's the way I'm going to grow as a person and in business.
Amit, in 2011, you qualified as a chartered physiotherapist. The word chartered, I've heard it with accountants, but I've actually never heard it with physiotherapy. What's the difference between a physiotherapist and a chartered physiotherapist?
So the chartered part is more the registration that you have, I guess. So when you qualified as a physio, you come out with a bachelor's in science, and it could be your sort of your levels of a distinction or a merit or whatever else. It can be the different levels, or the 2-1 first, whatever else you want to call it. You come out with a normal degree, but you have to register as a HCPC, with the HCPC body. So that's a Healthcare Professional Council. If you're not registered with them, then you're not classed as a physio. You can't work as a physio if you're not registered with them, because they have their own standards of conduct that you need to be able to follow, and you need to abide by. You've also got the Chartered Society of Physiotherapy. So I'm registered with them as well. They provide me with my insurance. So that is the regulatory body again for physios. They support us, so we can put that we're a chartered physiotherapist when we're having registration with them, in a sense. And that's where that comes from. So there's not much difference in a person who's not chartered to a person who is. It's just the bodies that you're regulated with, that you're under, that helps people understand that actually, yes, he's authentic in a sense. It's like you have what are you calling them, trade, check a trade, that sort of thing. You don't have to be with them, but if you're with them, you might be. People might be more enticed to go with you because you're with a regulatory body.
When in Bodyform, do you work by yourself or do you have a team?
At the moment, it's just me. So I'm the team right now. So I do the physio, the admin, accounting, everything right now, socials, everything. But as it's growing now, in January, we're looking at bringing on an admin person. So I'm going through the processes now of trying to go through recruitment. And so I've got a job advert put together. And then hopefully in December, we'll be holding interviews to find our A-team player. So, but again, we're looking at somebody who's going to be versatile, more of a PA, so that will deal with a lot of my admin tasks, not just the receptionist. And there'll be other tasks involved. So it's a great role to be in, because it's like you say, we're doing a bit of socials, we're doing newsletters, we'll be contacting patients. There's not just one particular job. So I'm excited about bringing somebody on first. I think the admin person will be a great help in a sense of providing me that support. I wanted to bring a physio in first, but the thought is that if I bring a physio in first to take off the pressure off me in clinic, but I'm still gonna have to do a lot of the admin stuff. And will I be able to do the admin stuff and train them at the same time? So my first thought was, let's bring an admin person in first. Let's get that person trained up in that job, and then I can focus on bringing another physio in with me and train them up properly.
How hard is it right now to run a one-man team? Do you not have a lot of pressure on your shoulders?
Very hard, yeah. Like I said, it's stressful. I've been through, was it in July, August? I went through a phase of just eating too much because I was stress eating. I did a 3-day fast, which really helped me to bring me back down again. So just drinking water for 3 days, no food, and I was more productive. I got much more done, and I felt better in myself. And I've tried to keep that same pattern going if I can. So doing intermittent fasting since then, and not focusing on too much food. But it is hard. You have moments when you're trying to balance sort of work and life as well, family time. But it's just making sure that I time manage properly. I got a diary there, so I need to use my diary to make sure I block out the times for patient time, for admin time, family time. Everything's blocked out now, in advance, you see, so then I can make sure I get deep work done, get right stuck into my work, get things ticked off, so then it offloads pressure. Because what can happen is if you don't do it, I had it previously a few months ago where things are just piling up, and that will never go down. But if you can keep on top of it, keep that pile of work and admin tasks down, you can focus on everything else around you, enjoy your time with family. You actually can care for patients a lot better. It is hard work. It is hard work, but you got to, if you're in business to just slide through it, it's not going to work. You need to be able to put the hard work in.
As a father of 2 kids, how important is it to sorry, as a father of 2 kids and also an entrepreneur, how important is it to manage your time and make sure there's separate times, so there's time for work and there's time for family?
That's very important. Again, my kids are young, 8 and 5. So right now they're going to school. They want to see their dad around and things like that. Now I've made it. My dad used to have a business as well. So my dad used to have a shop, and even though we used to live at home, we never used to see them that much. We never used to be able to do things with them because the shop was always priority. If we were to go to clubs or go on holidays, it was a no. So my dad always told me that when you have kids, make sure you have the time for them. So now I have my diary set up in a way that I can drop my kids to school, and then I'll start work at 9 o'clock, finish at 2:30 to go and pick them up from school, and then I'll work a couple of evenings and weekends. But then I take them to clubs. So I take them swimming and take them to tennis, um, and I make sure that I'm there to do these things because that's what my dad missed out on, and he sort of regretted it in a way. So I make sure I'm there with them. I am working evenings sometimes. So like tonight, I'm working till 8 o'clock. Won't see them until like bedtime, and that's when it's a little bit harder on a weekend. It stops us from doing some things on a weekend sometimes, but the way I think about it, it's only for short term. So hopefully, as next year comes in and I want to bring other people on, it's then trying to adjust my hours around in a sense I can be with them more often. Doing simple things like taking them for a bike ride or um, having quality time there. So I make sure that I do plan my diary in a way that I've got them times free to be able to go and do that.
Amazing. I mean, you were working at the Bradford teaching hospitals, but you moved to private to seek career advancement. What is private giving you that the NHS can't?
So when I was in NHS at the beginning, that was when I first qualified in 2011. I was there for a couple of years, but I was on a rolling contract for them. So it was 3-month contract, and they would extended because there wasn't funding there. Um, so I'm not saying that NHS can't give me what I wanted, and it's a good package to be with NHS. Again, the pensions that you get, the turn up packages, sick pay, everything that's brilliant. But again, the area that I wanted to be in, which was musculoskeletal, there was hardly any work available in that area. So when an opportunity came up, I worked with another physio who had that work available. But again, at that point, I was seeing a lot of medical legal work, and I did move around to different private practices in that time. But they're able to offer me more training, funding for courses. I've done acupuncture, like I say, cupping, tai chi, different courses that they've been able to fund for me. I went back into NHS again. I worked through a private company doing the SCP role, which was all in primary care in GP practices, and I loved that role. I was working as an advanced practitioner in a sense. And again, but that role didn't give me. I wasn't able to treat people. It's the same now in NHS. A lot of people come out saying they've only given me exercises. And a lot of people won't see a physio for 4 weeks, 5 weeks at a time, whereas they're not getting the outcomes. So for me, being in a private setting, I can provide people with that sort of regular contact, but then also the outcomes at the end of it. So this is, I guess, private in a way has given me that. Pretty much work privately with patients, but that's the NHS can't give because it's just lacking funding. There's the spending is going down, and then you're at risk of losing your job sometimes. Um, there is opportunities there. We need to be able to move around for it. I can't stay local to Leeds. If any jobs come up in the NHS and that went before, they were used to go within a few hours. So it was very competitive because there's loads of people looking for jobs. Whereas now, me setting up on my own and really pushing it forward, if I wasn't good, I wouldn't have lasted this long in a sense. And I have to keep reminding myself that, like, if I'm not good at not helping people, I wouldn't have been here for the 2 years that I'm here, and I won't be seeing that growth. And I do have to keep reminding myself, but it's it's not what NHS can't give me. It's what I want to do with my career and what I want to be able to give and provide patients with. It's that quality of care, which I think I can provide through doing this.
There's another threat to quite a few jobs that I'm sure you know of. It's AI. With the rise of AI platforms and exercise apps, why should anyone pay for hands-on therapy?
It's depending on what they want, really. So if they're not getting the outcomes, a lot of people do use these apps and things like that and try to treat problems themselves, and that's good. But to try to manage it themselves and see if we can get it under control. But if they can't, then they need to be seeking help from somebody like us. There is a lot of AI stuff out there, but AI is an algorithm. It's very static. It's not really able to adapt right now. So based on available information that's out there, AI might be able to give you a bit of a diagnosis on what a problem is, but it's not going to be able to examine you in that way. It might do a little body scan. It might get to a point where it does a body scan and looks at these are your problems. This is what you need to fix, but it's not going to be able to maybe find the root cause of the problem. When we're in clinic as well, even some therapists, some physios can't feel where what the muscles feel like, what they should be manipulating, what the joints should be moving like, because they're not in that environment where they're doing regular hands-on stuff. So for us, being able to do hands-on, it's it, if you're practicing it regularly, you know what you're looking for, you know what you're feeling for, you know how the body's going to move, how it's going to react to certain things. It's experience that it builds up. So for me, being an individual, being empathetic, maybe to somebody's feelings, being personable, that's where it's going to be a big difference. You can get a robot to do certain things or AI to do certain things, and we will be using AI in our clinics, but to a certain degree. We're not going to be using it to take over patient care. They'll be using it there to streamline things, help smoothing out things. We might be using it to with bookings and things like that, with chats on our website, just to make sure people can get quick access to answers that they need. But we would be setting them answers, not the AI. So we'll be putting information in here that we would be able to provide on our website that people can ask questions, and it'll show prices and what we actually do. But we'll be putting that in information in, not the AI. What we just search in the web for what it thinks that physios will be doing. We'll be actually inputting what we're doing, so it's more specific to what we're trying to achieve. There's lots of technology coming out there for looking at walking patterns, gait motions, things like that. But as a therapist, if you don't have the eye for looking at certain things and you don't train yourself, you're not going to be good at identifying it. You're going to rely on things like that. So when it comes to the point where the machines won't work, or you might have a power cut or something, then what do you do? How do you still maintain your quality of care that you're providing?
Do you reckon platforms such as ChatGPT and Gemini will be a threat to business in your industry? Maybe not now, but in the future as it develops.
Depends on what you're going to be using it for again. Like, it depends on what I don't know what the I'm not very much into technology in a sense that way, but like how
Let's say for example, a person can go to an AI platform. They say everything that's wrong with them, and somehow AI has developed that much that it can pinpoint the exact point, and maybe even give tips, give videos, anything. Do you think it will be a threat to your business?
not really, no. I don't think so. Technology has advanced so much from where it was before to now, and people still want to have a face-to-face conversation with somebody. Maybe still want that contact, hands-on therapy, because the other things that they've tried have not really helped. I guess now that you look at the NHS as well, with the waiting time, the 4 months, people can do so much time in that 4 months where they don't really get better. They they don't have that guidance and that support. So it depends on what ChatGPT or different AI tools can help with, and what they support people with. If it's one of those, if it's a personal connection that they can get with helping them through the recovery, educating them step by step, they might get a step by step list of things that they need to do. Okay, these are the things that you need to do, but are they going to go away and do it? Might need to be broken down into smaller sections for them. So this is where somebody like myself they might need people like me to be there. Are they going to get a hands-on treatment that they need to facilitate certain movements, mobilizations through AI? They might get the diagnosis through it. Might give them a good explanation of what the problem is. But for us being experts on what we're doing, what we're trying to feel for, what we're looking for, that holistic approach that we're trying to provide, like we're looking at the mental health side of things, the physical side of things, the emotional state. We're looking at everything really. Injury history. We're trying to incorporate all that into their sort of plan and break it down for them step by step. So I think even though that the technology has advanced a lot, I don't think it's changed what we do in treatments really. Some people rely more on technology, like on different machines and things like that to do it, but I don't know how AI will. I don't think it'll get to the point where we're out of a job.
It just doesn't give that humanized feeling at all.
No, it doesn't. No, I don't think. No, that's the case. But people will be using it, and will try to rely on it as much as possible. And it's going to happen even now. People try to avoid coming to see somebody like me because they want to treat themselves, and that's fine. They can do that, but if they're not seeing the outcomes, then they need to be coming to see somebody like ourselves. It's all about what they're trying to achieve, what they're trying to get out of it. Because if they don't understand that and what they're trying to do, if they're just trying to get rid of the pain, then they're never going to get out of the pain in a sense. But it's not all about pain, is it? It's about sort of what their outcomes are. What do you actually want to achieve once your pain's gone?
Amit, are you planning to keep Bodyform local, or would you like to expand its wings to some other cities, areas?
I want to keep it local for now. That's my plan. Maybe having a couple, 2 or 3 clinics around the Leeds area is ideal. But we'll see how things go. If opportunities come up and I want to expand and grow a bit more, then I wouldn't mind. I mind doing that.
How close are you to opening a second clinic?
Not very close at all. I need to get people working here for me first. Maybe in the next, like I say, after the 5 years, maybe looking at that. But I want to make sure that I've got things set up right here first in one location. Make sure all the little wrinkles are ironed out first. Make sure I've got a smooth system, smooth way of helping people, because again, that's very important to providing that quality of care. And then what we'll do is once we've got it right, just replicate again and try to replicate another clinic.
I think that's the best way to do it as well. Just take the time, get everything right, and then it goes from there.
Yeah, that's it. I'm not in no rush.
We've got a lot of time. Do private clinics create two-tier care? In this world, there's people that can pay for, they're able to pay for treatment. Some aren't able to pay for treatment. Do you think they receive two different types of treatment because of the amount they pay and because of the amount they can't pay?
No, so our prices don't really change. So we just go through our plan with patients. At the end of it, we would then sort of show them the plan and then show them our prices that we charge. We offer discounts based on block bookings. But then at the end of the day, I'm only there to advise them on what they need. And it's up to them at the end of the day to see the value in it or whether they can afford to pay or not. I like people to be open and honest with me up front. When people tell me, look, I can't afford it, fair enough, no problem. But then you go and do these things, and I'll go back to the doctor again and go through physio that way. And it's up to them to make that decision. It just really if they see the value in it. The way I see it is if you were to see a car, just say a Lamborghini, up for sale for $5,000, a brand new one, you'd find some way to pay for that because you know the value in that Lamborghini, how much it's worth, in a sense, and you'll find some way to pay for that $5,000 to get that car. So it's just making sure that I provide as much value as I can in that session and show them what they can achieve. And it's not about the money at the end of the day. It's about what people's outcomes are and what they want to achieve. And if they can't afford it, it's not a problem. If that's what their main objection is and they can't do it, not a problem. there's other ways I think that support and help. So it comes down to, for me, just advising them what they need.
Amit, you mentioned before that running a business has its ups and downs. It's like a roller coaster. And you even mentioned that last month wasn't a great month as well, but you still kept going. What strategies do you use to keep yourself motivated and inspired in your work, especially during those challenging times? What do you resort to?
So what I do is I look back and see why the month wasn't great. Did I have not many patients come through? Did many patients not want to come back for treatments? Maybe. Did they have a good experience? I'm trying to find out, get feedback from current patients because my diaries are full. But if revenue wise it's not been great, then it's understanding what's happened. Is it something I've done? Have I not given the care that I need to do? So it's trying to understand and learn from what's happened maybe the week before, the month before that. Why was that a good month and why was this not? So I'm just trying to make sure that I'm learning from my, I guess, learning as a whole in business and in the cares that I provide with my patients to make sure that I'm constantly keeping upskilling that way. Because if it's something that's patients not liked, what have they not liked? Is it the price? Is it something that I've done in clinic that I need to make changes? Do they like everything but they just didn't want to go for it because they need to speak to somebody else? So it's understanding why I've had a bad month. Is it because I was just got more admin stuff on my plate that's making me feel that I've had a bad month because I've not got my jobs ticked off? Revenue wise, might have done okay, but in a sense of getting my tasks done, have I been on it? But what I use to keep myself going is I just tell myself again, like, I might just keep going. Things will change next month. So I just got to make sure I look back and see where I've come from and where I'm at now. Because it doesn't matter if I'm up here, if I'm one of the, so if I'm a bigger business, I think I'm still going to have the same problem than what I'm having right now. I'm going to still have them doubts in my head. Am I doing the right thing? This month hasn't gone well, but it's making sure that I bring myself back down to the ground again and say, look, it's okay. This isn't happening. This is very normal. And just make sure I keep working hard and push myself forward. So I've got to keep reminding myself that what I'm actually doing this and what am I looking at. So not letting these bad months or negative things pull me down, because otherwise, if you keep thinking about that, I'm never gonna push out of it. So I always keep reminding myself that and just keep going, keep walking.
100%. Reflecting on your journey from larger organizations to leading your own practice, what have been some of the biggest lessons you've learned along the way?
Um, so in the sense of just the business side of things,
Business side, any side, personal side, business side, it's up to you.
what I've learned, I think it's similar to what I've answered already. I think it's just making sure. Um, I've never had confidence in myself, I guess. So I guess now what I'm trying to tell myself is just again, just be more confident. Just put yourself out there. Even with social media, it's always having to think twice about what am I posting, what am I doing. But just do a post. Just talk to people about what you do in clinic, what's happened this week. So it's just trying to make sure that I push myself out there and keep going. The big learning things that I've had is the physio side of things is not much of the problem. I know what I'm doing in the clinic, more the business side of things. I guess it's managing pretty much everything, which has been hard work. So it's how I think for me is time management really is I really have been able to understand and learn of how to manage my time better to get the most out of my time that I can. Because if I don't do that, and I'm not going to be able to allow the business to grow, I'm not going to have that time there for the family. I'm going to be stuck in a business where it's pulling me back. It's not a business that's going to be thriving or growing. So I guess the biggest learning curve for me is just time management really over this last few years is making sure that I keep on top of my time, make sure I plan everything in properly and get them jobs done. And I prioritize them from high priority, low priority, and just make sure I get that done over the week. But planning is key.
If you could give one piece of advice once again to someone looking to start their own private clinic, what would you say to them?
Um, I guess it depends on what their doubts are. So if they have any doubts in their mind about why they're not setting up, if they want to, but if for me, we're just taking that step. You can keep thinking and thinking and thinking about what the problems might be, or might be you might look at other people and think, oh, they're big now, they're doing this, they're doing that. Um, and you might always put yourself down that I'm not able to achieve that. But if you don't start, you're not going to make that change. You're not going to get anywhere. So for me, it was getting myself out of the comfort zone to be able to do socials, to be able to actually start a business and to go that way. So once I started making them little steps, I then started to develop and grow. So the one piece of advice is just get started. Just start doing it. Don't overthink things.
And I think a big thing as well is that if you take that step, even if it succeeds, if it fails, at least you won't regret it. At least you won't regret not starting. And that can eat you up. It can eat you up later on.
It can do, yeah. So it's one of those like if I didn't, I could definitely go back to a job where it's 9 to 5 and it's not a problem. But the main thing for me was I didn't get enough. I didn't feel like I got enough holidays. I had to compensate on my hours for the amount that I was earning as well. So I felt like I was always living paycheck to paycheck. Still am now, but in the future I want to be in a position where I'm not like that. I'm able to support myself, my family as well, and have a better quality of life. But I want to make it for me that way. Somebody else might have a different intention. They might just want to do a 9 to 5 job, and that's what keeps them happy, and they're happy with that. They don't want the stress of having a business. But for me, it was like I want to put myself in that position and see what it's like first, and then we can test the waters. And but it's always looking about the bigger picture and see where I want to be. Like at the moment now, where I am, it, from where I was, like I say, to now, I've grown. But then in a few years' time, I want to be hopefully growing more. But I want to see that change happening. We can only wait and see until that time happens. Let's go put my hard work in.
That's it. That is it. Amit, as a closing tradition, what we do, every guest that comes onto the podcast, we ask them if they've got any pain points or anything that they need a little bit of advice on from the audience to help them improve. So it's your turn. It's
For
only
my
fair.
turn.
Amit, it's your turn. Amit, do you have any pain points or would you like anything that you want to a little bit of advice on from the audience to improve your business? And if you do, please let them know.
Yeah. So for me, really, how it's always a learning process for me. So for me, I guess right now I'm going through the phase of dying myself about social media again. Okay. What am I posting? Am I doing the right content? Am I saying the right things? It's just being more confident. So I guess with being on a call with you now is just making sure that um that whatever message I'm trying to convey, am I conveying it across to the audience right now? So from what they've heard of me to this, it sounds like I've conveyed a message to them. If I haven't, then what ways could I then change? What could I change in my communication to improve on that?
I'm sure the audience will let you know in the comments. 100%. Amit, just before I end as well, have you got any details on where people can contact you on?
Yeah, so I've got my own website, which is bodyformphysiotherapy.co.uk. You can always give me a follow on Instagram and Facebook as well. It's just Bodyform Physio on them two platforms. I'm also on LinkedIn as well. And you can always reach out to me and send me a message on them platforms.
There we go, guys. We will make sure to put Amit's details in the description below so you can reach out if you've got any problems or even if you just want to drop a little hi, you can do it as well. But thank you so much, Amit, for joining us today. It's been absolutely great, guys. I'm not lying to you. He's an amazing person. I can sense the energy from here. He's an amazing person. So if you are having any issues, let him know. He's the guy. He's the guy that you need to go to. But
Thanks
thank
for
you so
having me
much.
on there. Thanks for having me on today.
Thank you so much. And to the audience, thank you so much for watching today's episode. As you guys already know, we're on Spotify, we're on YouTube, we're on Apple Podcast. We release an episode every Wednesday at 5 a.m., which is a perfect time for your morning commute to work. So please like, subscribe, comment down, and we will see you guys next time. Thank you very much, Amit. Thank you very much, you guys as well.